Guys, what's going on, and welcome back to Shifting Lanes 2. My name's Chad, and today we are talking about, well, pretty much every car Shifting Lanes has ever owned, or at least featured on our YouTube channels. Everything from Greg's legendary V70R, my Mustang, my Lexus, even my BMW. Hanson's had a Veloster M, a Brz. We've owned a lot of different cars. So, with the new Shifting Lanes launching this year, this felt like a great time to make a tier list of all the cars we have featured on our YouTube channel. And the best part about it is I made the list, but Hanson and Greg reacted to it, roasted me. It's really funny, guys. It's definitely worth the watch. And when you do like it, smash that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button with notifications on, so that way you get all of the Shifting Lanes content as we release it.
Where we're going next is, again, if you were on the stream last night, you invariably know that I did a tier list. And apparently, if you are a streamer, this is part of your getting your streamer badge, is you have to do tier lists. But it's fun, it's interesting, makes you think, do all this other sort of stuff. And so I came up with it, and I figured the most fun thing to do would be to show Hanson and let you tell me how much I'm wrong.
Okay, so, all right. Obviously, I had no say in this.
And I prefaced that with everyone. I told them it was all me.
Yeah.
You guys had no input because I wanted you guys to react to what I thought. And I'll try to give you some explanations here and there.
Okay.
Where?
So I could tell you did this because this is all wrong. So we'll start at the bottom first, because I think this is where you and I kind of agree here. The E46 M3, I mean, that's like the best car ever made, but we just happened to run across the worst version of that best car ever made. But yeah, I remember picking that car up for you. I flew by myself all the way down to Varsh's house and down there, and we put it up on his lift, looked at the underneath of that car, and it was in really good shape. I mean, that was a Florida car. There's like absolutely no rust. The rear subframe, which is what these cars are like known for, like they normally just deteriorate, and it was in fairly good shape. But the interior, clearly it was a Florida car, because it was just like, it looked like some animal was just like let loose in the car, and it was just like all torn to shreds. And so yeah, the E46 M3, that was not a good car. The next car that you have right there, the Volvo S60R, yes, that was probably one of the worst purchases, because first of all, I got it for around $3,500, so it was like cheaper than Greg's first V70R, and really cheap compared to today's money. But that car had a lowering springs. Actually, it had lowering springs in the front and stock springs in the back, so it was just like riding like this.
Massive.
It was more aerodynamic, I guess.
Didn't you watch F1 last year? The more rake you have, the better downforce you get.
Better.
With the diffuser and everything.
Yeah.
The C30's suffering from that right now, to be brutally honest. I have to level out the ride height.
No. But the fact that I had lowering springs on there, that actually put me in a different class in autocross as well. So
50% lowering springs puts you in a different class.
Yeah, exactly. Now, next on that list, I would say the BMW M3 should go down as one of the worst purchases.
So you think it should be here?
Because I think it should be right there, because I don't think Greg really had that much time to enjoy it, just because there were so much like titling issues.
Oh yeah.
That just like robbed all the fun out of like being able to enjoy the car on the roads legally. So I mean, it was making a ton of power, but yeah, like all those titling nightmares just made it kind of a nightmare to own. But I'm sure if he were here, he'd probably defend that. That's probably going to go up, and maybe in the great section. I'm not sure. But the Subaru BRZ, now that is I think that deserves to be higher. I put that in one of the greatest purchases. So it started off being, oh no, right there.
Right, okay.
There. Yeah, that's good. Mm-hmm. Now, it started off as being one of the worst purchases ever. This was my first shifting lanes project car. This is when we were, we're still doing project cars, but this was my project car. And my whole goal was, this is when I was getting into autocross. And, at this time I was like, what were people driving? Like BRZs, 86s, they were driving that. So I was like, all right, done. So I tried to find like the cheapest BRZ I could find, and this was it. I think it was $12,000 at the time. It had like 99,000 miles, single owner. So I was like, can't go wrong, right? I mean, like this guy must have worked for him for like the first 99,000 miles. So
it worked for 99,000. I think 40 miles for you.
Well, no, see, I had to drive it back, so I had to at least drive it like about 150 miles.
Okay.
But anyway, bought it. 6 days later, it broke down on me, and it wasn't like a relatively minor to medium issue like the Volvo S60R, where the fuel pump module failed. This was something more catastrophic. Now, this was before the huge valve spring recall with Subaru was issued, and I have a feeling that maybe I got something to do with that recall. Not really sure, but I will say that when it broke down, I called the dealership and they were like, we're going to try and make this right. We'll send you a tow truck. Now, mind you, this dealership is in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. I live in North Jersey, and it's like 2 hours away. This dealership was like, we're going to go send a tow truck up there, and we're going to grab the car back. So they grabbed the car, and this back and forth between me and the dealership was well over 40 days. I mean, this was very long. I just bought the car and was not able to drive it. But long story short, the valve springs broke, and it disintegrated. And it just like, when it disintegrated, like other parts basically broke, and like all that debris, all that metallic debris just got sucked up and like cycled through the engine. So they basically just had to tear everything apart, gave me a brand new engine, and it was all covered.
That's awesome.
And I mean, like that, I just completely lucked out there, because here I bought like a 99,000 mile Subaru, and then the dealership just gave me a brand new engine. But not long after that, Subaru and Toyota issued this valve recall. And then, because they were finding that the valve springs would disintegrate and could seize your engine. And that's exactly what happened here.
So you changed the world. You helped the world. Hanson, hero.
Not all heroes wear capes, so
some end up on the side of the road.
Wear Subaru BRZs or drive Subaru BRZs.
So,
but after that happened, I was able to, it was basically like a brand new car. Started autocrossing with it, and it was such a great car to learn car control. I mean, it's like pure driver's car, rear wheel drive, very simple. Not a lot of power, but it's like you could. What's that?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I just have torque trough, dip,
Yeah, torque dip. Yeah, the torque dip was not good. But it's like, it's a lot more fun to drive a slow car fast than
you can adjust the limits slow. And everything like that. Yeah. I mean, you probably have one of these cars in good, but I know the other one is not. So the floor is yours.
Yeah. So, The I there you go. No, absolutely not. That's going all the way to the top. The best things we've ever owned. The Hyundai Veloster M. It is one of the best cars I've ever purchased. It is so much fun to drive. The sound is just so crazy. The handling is great. It's it feels pretty raw. You know, it's not as raw as like the Mitsubishi Evo 9 that I had, but this car reminds me a lot of that. The manual gearbox is crisp, but that exhaust sound, it's the best. As for the other positions that you have there, I would have to agree with you on the Aston Martin being, all the way at the very top. I do remember flying down with you to again Tavares's house, and we picked up his old Aston Martin, and man, that was such an experience driving that back up. I mean, the sound of that thing is just so glorious, and V8 power. I mean, you just can't beat that, and also the manual transmission.
Oh, everything! It's just everything about it, man. It sounds great, looks great. It's one of those things where, like, I don't know how to equate this, but like, there's a feeling you get behind the wheel of a car that you know, capability-wise, what you can or can't do, right? Or what it can and can't do, and that kind of gives you confidence to drive and have a good time with it and stuff. And then there's cars that going 10 under the speed limit still make you feel like a hero, and that was the Aston Martin. You know, just the cachet of that brand. Even if the mirrors are off an XC90, the center console and infotainment system is straight out of my C30, just with a different color graphics and things like that. None of that matters. Like, it was just inside, looking at it, sitting in it, driving it, parking it. Everything about it just made you feel like $1 million. It was such an amazing car to have.
Absolutely. No, yeah, just the driving experience was so unique, and yeah, it just looks so good, you know. And if you look at the Aston Martins now, I mean, they're all still beautiful, but you know, not to the same extent to like looking at these cars when they were first sold. You know, like transport yourself back to 2007, 2008, and like looking at that, you're like, holy cow, there's nothing like it on the street.
It's just beautiful in its detail, but beautiful in its simplicity. And I think the new ones are just traveling down that road of just being over-designed a little bit. Yeah. They're still very good-looking cars, but there's an element of, if you had stopped just before you put that in, you'd have been great. Obviously, you can't have the same shape for 20, 30 years and expect to sell when, you know, Porsche... Well, I guess maybe if you followed the Porsche plan and just mildly updated the styling a little bit here and there. But it's... I love that thing. I want another one very badly.
And, of course, that Magicama V70R is up there. I mean, Greg was able to create a lot more content with that one, so it definitely was very special for us. And the fact that he was able to push out so many horsepower out of it, you know, and it sounded great. I mean, it was just a lovely, lovely car.
It was a sleeper. It looked great. It sounded amazing, like you said. Nobody expected it. I think I said last night, like, it was one of those things where you knew people who heard the exhaust note and then saw you drive by, not realizing it was you, and then the light bulb hit, and the expression on their faces was
exactly
a memory you needed to have. And with all of that, this series, even though this was the second one, this built shifting lane. Like we talked about on the first video we ever had, this helped build shifting lanes. I don't know where shifting lanes is today without this car. None of these other cars up here made a huge impact on the channel and us as a whole. Like they just didn't. Even the Aston, you know, as much as I love the Mustang and you love the Veloster, they just didn't have a big impact. That had a massive impact.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. If you look at the view counts, if you go to our YouTube channel right now and just like look at the view counts for like the project cars. I mean, I don't think it comes any of the project cars. If you total it up, it doesn't come close to the V70R. I mean, it's just night and day difference. But yeah, the V60 Polestar. I'm really looking forward to seeing where that how that does for the Shifting Lanes 2 YouTube channel. So if you guys are on, and yeah, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for both Shifting Lanes 1 and Shifting Lanes 2. But I'm really looking forward to the content that Gregson's going to be making.
Yeah, that's
on that car.
Absolutely.
And then the Mustang. I mean, I'm gonna let you speak about that, because I'd probably put that down all the way down to the worst cars, but I haven't gotten a chance to drive it, by the way, just so you know. But I'm pretty sure that's been one of the best cars you've ever owned, right, Chad?
Without question, and that's simply down to the fact that it is, the potential of that car is incredible. 700 horsepower at the wheels without touching the internals. The suspension upgrades, the aftermarket support, the factory support you get. You can bolt up GT350 stuff right to it. And like I said before, like, what I look at a car, I don't look at what it is as it sits. It's a failing. I get it. But it's just one of those things where, I love the look of it. I love the way it sounds, man. And the fact that it goes to 7,500 RPM, which I think makes it the highest revving vehicle we own. Which is crazy to think in the American muscle car.
with V8, yeah.
The big ass brakes, the everything about it, man. It's incredible. And the fact that I'm being able to do some big things with it is huge, hugely appealing. It's one of the best American engines built in the last 20 years, bar none, and I'm not going to hear otherwise on that one. And like I said, it's another vehicle that affords me a ton of opportunities to do things I've always dreamed about. And again, it's from the driving feel, it feels a lot like the Aston on the inside, that low-slung two-door sports car that makes a hellacious V8 noise. But yeah, I mean, I understand it's probably not that, and we definitely got to get you behind the wheel. And it's because it's an experience. It's a full body experience with that car. So,
of course, with the exhaust and everything, and I have to revert back to the exhaust because, like, driving is all about the senses, right? It's like, obviously you're seeing like how beautiful the cars are. But you're also like feeling all like the rumbles, and you're hearing the exhaust. And hopefully you're not smelling weird things when you're driving, but it's everything that you feel when you're experiencing these cars. The more it can affect you, the more significant that driving experience is.
Absolutely. And that's really the main reason the C30 is down here. It's quiet by retrospect. It's I don't know what the word is, but again, it has that feeling of being a little safe. The exhaust is very quiet, even being a 3-inch turbo back. It's the Mustang just hits more emotionally, more of the senses.
Yeah.
And that's why it's above it for me and anything. But I don't know. I figured this would be fun. I figure this would be a fun thing we can do going forward. So if you have YouTubers out there that you like, send us over, send us some of their builds, and we'll kind of do something similar.